The real question, though, Rich, is how's the NDI?
I don't use NDI. I don't use NDI for anything. Oh, wait a minute.
Gotcha,
you're pulling
Rich.
my G leg. Would you quit
I
that?
sure am.
So we did an episode a couple of episodes ago all about the tools we use, but one of the major tools that kind of unites us all really is Ecamm. So today we're going to be talking about how we all got into Ecamm and how we are all using that in the content creation that we are doing as well. So perhaps we can just start off. Dina, how did you find out about Ecamm, and what was your sort of path into that, and how are you using it?
Oh boy. I like to say I came for the software and stayed for the community. But what the story is I was actually trying to figure out how to do on location streams, so dog shows, sports events, things like that. And I was having a hard time finding the right hardware and kept on seeing this Ecamm thing cross my screen. And finally I checked it out and I thought, wow, this thing's really cool, but it's not exactly what I need for in the field type of stuff, because I was trying to go light, but the community. So I just kept paying attention and kept on thinking in the back of my mind, how can I use this? How can I use this? And then some blonde Canadian said, hey, you should be streaming. Yeah, you down there. You should be streaming. And so I did. We did a test stream, and the rest is history. I've got a 6 or 8 camera stream right now. I do a live cooking show, so I could not be doing that show without Ecamm. The ability to switch cameras on the fly, have my recipe overlays fly in whenever I need them at the press of a button. Ecamm is absolutely where it's at for me.
I've said it before, but I think you've got one of the most creative uses of, a studio and cameras and multiple different camera angles, and so you're definitely maximizing the camera switching abilities of Ecamm. It's awesome. Sure. And was your sort of route into finding Doc as well? Was that through Ecamm, or was he someone you were following before that? Which one came first for you there?
I think it was a little bit of a parallel path, thanks to the YouTube algorithm. I was watching Ecamm things, and then Doc's things started coming up, and so I started watching him on Saturday mornings, and I also was hooked on that. And then I found you guys. 2 months later, we started this.
It's cool that it brought us all together in this way.
For sure.
And,
the one fateful day that a friend handed me her phone and said, hey, stream this thing to Facebook for me. And I'm like, what is streaming? And here we are.
And how about any other software? Had you used anything else before Ecamm? Had you tried any of the other platforms that do similar things?
Not for live, no. Live was not even in my realm of possibilities for Silver Lining Home Place. And I just went to Facebook Live for the dog show stuff, and then I did use like the YOLO Box Pro for some
cool.
of that on location stuff, but that was also just going straight into Facebook, so there wasn't a lot of bells and whistles. But yeah, it's been really, Ecamm is what I use in the kitchen. I'd love to figure out some kind of mobile rig that allows me to have some good camera angles for the garden next year, or this coming season, I should say. But we'll see. I'm not going to push any of that at the moment.
Nice. And how about you, Michelle? What was your sort of path into Ecamm? Because I know you tried some other things before it, but how did you get into the Ecamm side of stuff?
So what had happened was, so back in the day, I was with a network marketing company, and we sold tangible products, right? I sold jewelry. I did like makeup stuff. I used to sell skincare. I used to sell makeup. I used to sell jewelry, all these things. I kind of still do, but that's on the low. Okay, don't tell nobody. But anyway, so what had happened was a lot of the consultants in the company that I was with was going naked and afraid using their phones on Facebook. And I was like, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. So my foray into this was through OBS. So I had a live selling shopping show on Facebook that was a weekly show, and then I had like pop-up selling events and things like that, and I was using OBS to do that. And that was back when I was a PC person. I was team PC for like most of my life, and then using OBS and a PC brought my computer to a crawl, where nothing would work. And I'm like, okay. And then I was going into university to finish up my degree. And I was like, you know what? I'm not buying another dang PC. I heard about Macs, and I'm going to see what it's all about. And so you know what they say, once you go Mac, you never go back. So, yeah.
Is that what they say? Okay.
Yeah. They say once you go Mac, man.
I hadn't heard that. Okay.
Once you go Mac, never go back. So now I'm like, all right, now I have a Mac. I can use OBS with a Mac, but nobody was really teaching it. I was original, like OG Neminati, the Nemin brothers, they were doing things, and I was learning through what they were doing, and I'm like, okay, this is crazy. I need to figure something out. And along came Justin Brown. Told you he was my Aussie boyfriend. And so he started talking about Ecamm and all the things you can do. And so I was like, I think I'm gonna try that. And so so I did. So I put my toe in the water, and I'm like, oh my God, I could do all the things that I was doing with OBS and then some. And I was like, oh, this is the bomb.com. So yeah. And it was no looking back after that. So it was so cool because I was able to create my branding business from all of that. And, it was just a wonderful thing. And all the people in my industry, they were like, how are you doing that? How do you get things to come up on the screen? And how are you doing that? I'm like, I will tell you, but I'll have to kill you. So, so I shared it with a few people, and, little did I know about the affiliate program back in the day, but I do now. So I'm sharing it with everybody. Okay. So if you want to know how I do what I do, I will tell you. It's Ecamm all day, every day. And what? Twice on Sundays.
And was that your route into Doc's group as well? Was through Ecamm, or was that something that you were in his community beforehand?
Well, I was looking for places where Ecamm people hung out, and it was kind of in the Ecamm community, but what was it? I can't remember. Oh, I know what it was. I was with I had another mentor at the time. And I'm going to piggyback on what Dina said, the YouTube algorithm, because that was what kind of like popped up. It's like, oh, wow, you like these videos. You'll like this. And, then I started hanging out there, too. And I was like, oh, wow, I really resonate with these people. As a matter of fact, I kicked my other mentor to the curb. I'm like, deuces. I like these folks. These are my people. And Vlogmas. That's what it was. Vlogmas. December 6th, 2020. That was the day I joined LGL. It was Vlogmas. It goes down in infamy. I love it. I never look back.
Yeah, I think I was a few months after that I joined Doc's group. It was about middle of the year for me, but yeah. And how about you, Keely? I mean, you're someone as well who's has got a relatively unique use case, for the live streams that you do, and showing footage and things like that, and commentary on stuff like that. It's quite unique, I think, in the community. So, what was your path into Ecamm, and what other solutions did you try before that?
I didn't try a single thing because I didn't know that live streaming existed until the pandemic started. And then I thought, how is it that I'm actually going to get out there and talk to people about this new business that I was trying to launch right at the same time? And I I don't know. I mean, clearly I took inspiration from things that I was seeing, but I think I just started Googling live stream software Mac, and Ecamm came up, and I glommed onto it. I did my first live stream in May of 2020, and I swear, like, Michelle, you and I must have jumped into LGL almost on the same day, because I remember jumping in the middle of Vlogmas going, what the Sam Hill did I just get myself into? I have no idea what's going on here. All these people are going live every day, and they're talking trash, and they're doing all these things on Facebook. I don't understand this world at all. I found all of that, and I found Doc because I was looking for answers for particular problems that I was trying to solve. I wanted to be able to show my videos full screen and then show them as a replay quietly while I was talking in the background. There were certain ways I wanted to set up my show and transition scenes and things like that. I thought there have to be some kind of resources. So I'm a master Googler, and yeah, Doc came up right away in the search results, found the Facebook group, found you lot. I signed up in January for Doc's group, and I remember celebrating my birthday with the group like 2 weeks after I came in, and everybody was wishing me happy birthday, and I was like, this is nice. It's weird, but it's nice. And yeah, that's kind of when I got hooked. So yeah, it's been really one of those things when people ask or question, how's anybody going to find me? You know, be vocal, be making your content about the product that you want to support, and you will be found just like Doc was.
Mm-hmm. And for me, the thing, for me, it was the reverse, where I watched Mac Break Weekly and I was pulling my hair out with OBS for a long time. Well, not a long time, actually. It felt like a long time. It was probably only about a couple of months wanting to create videos in one take. And I just happened to see Doc at the perfect time where I was so frustrated with OBS. And then I saw him on Mac Break Weekly, and he just sort of casually dropped about Ecamm. I thought, oh, let me give that a look. And so for me, he was my sort of gateway into it. But how about you, Rich? What was your sort of path into this whole thing?
My co-host and I, Amber, do a podcast. We started doing it in October 2019. Audio only. We're just doing a podcast every week, recording it and putting it up on, I think we were using SoundCloud at the time. And then the panini hit, and we couldn't be in the same room recording anymore. So we tried doing it over Zoom for a couple of months. And it was ugly, but we weren't doing it for the video. We were just recording. So it was fine for what it was. I knew all along that I had to get into video because everybody was doing video stuff at that time. Zoom calls and, virtual events and all that stuff. I stumbled into Loria, of all people, and I'd known her forever, but did not know I didn't know she had transitioned into Luria. I remember her as somebody from 20 years ago doing the tech TV stuff. So when I found her, I was really excited. And she was talking about Ecamm all summer of 2020. I finally joined her group, her live every day in August. So you go live every day on your phone. And eventually that led to buying Ecamm because she's a Ecamm hustler and or affiliate or whatever. So I bought it. And started doing our podcast over Ecamm. And we were back in the office by then. And then I stumbled into, I think Alicio is the one I found in the Ecamm community. And either him or Diana or Doc, I'm not sure which, were talking about this new thing. And I joined LGL the day before Thanksgiving. And so of that year, of 2020. So I was actually live every day in December in Vlogmas, whatever, up until the 23rd or 22nd, I forget. But that was fun. It was really fun. And that wasn't really an Ecamm thing. That was more of just going live with the video every day, vlogging every day, going out shooting stuff, making deliveries, making cheesecake, whatever, doing Christmas stuff. I don't know. It was just fun. And the group was great. And that whole scene, every day we would try to scramble to get our stuff uploaded by about 7 or 8 at night so we could do the late night recap. And Strick and Alicio were always doing those recaps well into 1 or 2 in the morning. It was really fun. Yeah. It got me through December. It was really cool. And then I found all you guys a few months later. So here we are. But I found that using Ecamm, now we do our podcast live every week on YouTube and Facebook. And we use Restream, and we still use Restream because we just do, because we paid for it. And then, but also use Ecamm for all this other stuff, all this other virtual camera stuff, even doing this magical episode. So
perhaps you could just mention like how we are actually doing this, because with you having a sort of 2 computer setup for this, it's a little bit odd. You've been in the same
it's actually 3. I have Amber's my co-host, and she has a computer across the room, and that's what's running this broadcast that we're on. I'm controlling that with my laptop, which is a MacBook Pro Intel, and I'm just screen sharing or controlling that computer in there. This computer in here is our main streaming computer, and it's an M1 16 gig as well. But I found out that the audio conflicts if I try to do screen sharing on this computer and use it as the source computer for my video. The sound interrupts each other or something. So that's why I have to do this 3 computer setup. But anyway, that computer in there is recording all of us individual videos at a lower resolution than I like, but that's okay because it is capturing all the video just in case something screws up. So,
but that multi-computer setup, or specifically like 2 running Ecamm, is so that you can record the 4K of your own camera, and then we've also got the recording in Ecamm of all of those people coming in. Just to sort of clarify why that was
on 2 separate machines. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm recording mine 4K feed on my own computer, and I'm logging in to that one through interview mode, like all of you are through the internet. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming my Google goes to the sky and back down, just like all of you guys.
Mm-hmm. And we can talk about the upcoming features in a moment as well. But although there is ISO video in Ecamm 4, there is some resolution. You don't get the 4K resolution on the recording, so we'd still do it with the dual computer setup. But how about you, Rob? How did you get into to Ecamm? I'm sorry.
I had backed into it through Twitch, finding some creators on Twitch, Harris Heller, a man who will not be named, Luria Petrucci, and kind of, found some people along the way there, and they kept talking about OBS, and I was not going to play that game, and eventually Luria started talking about Ecamm, and then had this like really loud guy from Hawaii, on her show at one point in time, and he started to rant and rave about it. And so, about the same time, I think Rich and Michelle came into LGL. I showed up in 2020, but it kind of manifested itself in that I wanted to do a bunch of things, and I needed a tool to do it. I thought it was the best one, and it was Mac related, and I'm never going to touch another PC again. I've already had that nightmare in my life. But I walked in and got it, and I like it a lot. And ever since then, I've been in the LGL and with you all, and so that's kind of how I've walked into the product. But definitely how I've used it probably is a little bit different than I initially intended to use it. But it's very flexible, so that anything I needed it to do, it has been able to do for me outside of the obvious, which is streaming.
You mentioned there about it doing something more than you'd initially thought it would do or intended it to do, and that's a little bit the same with me, really, because I've mentioned about Doc being my route into finding Ecamm and trying OBS before, but just to backtrack a little bit, the reason for wanting to use OBS was because of making course material for something unrelated to Take One Tech, but creating these online courses, and going through the recording and editing process. I was just my own worst enemy when it came to editing. I seem as though I'm fine if I'm on stage speaking or anything like that, but as soon as I think that I can edit myself, then I will do lots of takes. And so I wanted to find a way to just do the whole thing in one take, and so that was why I was looking for something that would allow me to do this, and OBS was the first one. But when I then discovered Ecamm, I think that was really the primary impetus for me to actually create the channel. Although I created my channel as part of the sort of process of practicing this idea of one take videos, I think that without Ecamm, it wouldn't be nothing like it is right now, because it's something about it has just given me so much joy to use it that then nearly half of my videos on my channel are Ecamm videos. It's probably maybe not quite half, but at least a third of them are Ecamm videos. So I wouldn't really have the same sort of thing that I've got now without Ecamm in terms of Take One Tech. The other thing is, coming back to that point about using it for other purposes, the whole thing of using it for leveling up meetings and, going into Zoom or Teams or whatever platform it is, using the virtual camera feature, that's something that's really sort of transformed what I'm doing in terms of, consultations and things like that as well, is teaching people how to do that. And so I could definitely say that without Ecamm, I wouldn't have like the business that I'm building out of Take One Tech, and I wouldn't have the same enthusiasm for it, because there's something about it that is it's an application that gives me joy. I can say that much about it. So how have any others have found like other uses for Ecamm, or how have you found using it once it solved your initial use case?
Well, I'll go down the line of kind of along the same thing you said. I mean, when I started to run for public office, I was on meetings all the time. I was on Zoom meetings and other things, connecting with media, and it helped me throw graphics, lower thirds, show videos, have slides up so I can make my points while I'm speaking. During the, what did you call it, Rich? We weren't using the other word, but during the
panini is what they call it.
That's during the panini, between my daytime business selling to hospitals, they didn't want me to come around. They didn't want anybody to come around. They had locked their doors down. So I was meeting with them, or I was talking to people about the campaign. Ecamm was what I was using as a presentation tool, as a connection, and that always, stopped people cold. Like, you've got your name and your website down below your face for the entire time that you're talking, or I could press a button and I could set up a scene where I have bullet points next to it that I could explain certain things about my business or about my campaign, and that went over really well. And I sell to doctors who are easily fascinated with technology, and so I know that, just kind of like you, Alec, I know that there are deals that I've signed because I had a brighter, shinier, flashier presentation than probably anybody in my competition. And 3 or 4 years ago, my sales process meant that I had to fly out to a state, get in a car, drive, and be physically on site in whatever hospital I was selling to. And I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to do that for a number of reasons. It's funny because I work in a telemedicine company. So the majority of the people that work for me work from their homes anyway, regardless of the panini, before the panini, or the provolone, whatever you want to call it. But we're so for me to go virtual wasn't that big a deal, and for me to stay virtual, my office has been given over to somebody else now, so I don't have to drive anymore into work, and I can just do my whole business here, and it's because I've got the tools to do that, and that's made me a happier person because I can wake up a little later and don't have to worry about the 45-minute commute through traffic.
Yeah, that whole thing of having, good audio, video quality, and, those little embellishments, even just your logo or name or things like that, whatever it happens to be in Zoom calls, it does go a long way because it shows an attention to detail that I think carries a lot of weight. I've certainly seen the same. How about you, Dina? You were going to jump in.
I actually, the first time I streamed with Ecamm, I was doing an online auction for a nonprofit that I volunteer with, and we did a good amount of money, and it was so easy to go live. It was crazy easy with Ecamm. So that was the non-creator thing that I use Ecamm for, and then, like you say, business meetings, that kind of thing. But I don't need to do those anymore for a little while. I also, like you, love to just record, do a regular recorded video with Ecamm. I find that it does reduce the editing, especially with the pause feature. You know, if I show the carrots and then I say, I'm going to go wash the carrots, I hit pause, go wash the carrots, do the next step, and then in editing, I can just kill the part where I'm fumbling for the pause button. It's, man, I love Ecamm. I'm going on a trip this week, and I actually don't have a Mac laptop anymore. And I think it'll be the first time I've been separated from Ecamm in 14 months, 16 months. I'm a little...
Oh my God.
We're there for you.
What are you going to do?
Just give us a
I'm
call.
emotional.
Have you got a neighbour going to come around and check on it while you're away?
I think I'm going to need someone to check on me.
Are you gonna? We can just call the twins and see if we can get it to run on your
I
phone.
haven't told my friend yet. I haven't told Sherry that Ecamm isn't coming with me. I don't know
They're
if
gonna
she's
be
going to be able to
disappointed.
handle me without it.
You know, with the magic of remote production, all of us have. We could all do it for you, Dina.
Right.
We could all push the buttons.
You
Dina,
know, that's true.
we're there for you, dear. We're there for you.
We will happily enable you if you need to enable.
Yes.
I think that's actually an important point about Ecamm, guys. You guys could, if I decided to do a little kitchen video or something, if I wanted to go live, you could remote produce. I'm not going to ask you to do that because maybe
absolutely do
with
it, yep.
Charles is okay.
We love you,
that
but
is
not
a reality.
that much.
For people who are listening and looking for a live streaming software solution, that's how powerful Ecamm is.
Yeah.
I could dial in with my phone and somebody else could actually stream it. And that's pretty freaking cool.
So yeah, about the remote production thing, we were on the Flow podcast with Doc, and one of the interesting things about that was that we actually dialed into Mr. Camera Junkie's Ecamm account or whatever and he's miles away from Doc's in Hawaii. We're all in different continents as well, and Camera Junkie is obviously in Florida as well. And it was weird to be sort of going into dialing into him. He did all the introduction and got us all set up, did all the sound check and everything like that, and then he was running the show from there. So the sort of remote production possibilities that you got with Ecamm are great as well. And how about you, Michelle? You were mentioning about there was some other way that you were using Ecamm.
Well, I'm using it to do my live streams. Not only that, but also like my teaching. I've gotten the last 3 jobs that I've had because I did my Zoom interview using Ecamm. So
Cool.
they were very impressed for all the things that everyone's mentioned. I had like my name, my title, what I did, whatever. And I was able to share the screen and do all kinds of stuff and do different types of presentations as my job interview for my 9 to 5. But then as I'm growing in my branding business, I'm able to use it for teaching. So I teach every week, and I have my presentations, load my presentations up. So I'm going through all of my different presentations, running B-roll, doing all the things, and it's seamless. It's just a beautiful piece of tech, and you can do all the things, have all the bells and whistles, play videos in your presentation, have different types of transitions and such, play your music, do all the things, and it's just very, very impressive. So when my peers see it, they're like, wow, how are you doing that? Literally, this happened today. We had a Zoom meeting introducing, I don't know, random doctor, whatever, right? And we had to say who we are and all the things. And some people had the little Zoom blur, whatever. And so today, everyone in the office was like, you know what? We got to get our background situated. And everybody was getting these rando backgrounds. I'm like, seriously? And I pull my stuff up and they're like, how are you doing that? I'm like, don't worry about it. Talk to me after we get off the clock. Okay. Talk to me. So, but yeah, it's just so cool that you can do all these different things. And it's just baked into it. I mean, it is the most powerful software that I've come across that does all of these things. And yet it does the simplest stuff too. So I don't want folks seeing this or hearing this to feel like, oh my God, it's just too complicated. No, it's not. It's as complicated as you need it to be. So if you just needed to do one thing, hey, you could do that. But if you're remote producing, you've got talent coming in from all over the world, you could run a stream or run a video or a conference. Oh my God, a conference? Seriously? Like so easy. So, I mean, nothing's beating this.
I think it's a good point there about it. You can make it really simple, or not make it. It can start out really simple and then just add extra things to it. And, having all of the different windows open on Ecamm, there can be a lot when you've got them all open. But actually, once you've got things set up and if you're controlling it with the Stream Deck, you don't need to have all of this other stuff on the screen as well. So that's one of the things that I talk about is just, get your scenes set up and then you've got your Stream Deck to just sort of switch between them. And it becomes like with that and with Zoom, if you're doing meetings, having the Stream Deck is like the mission control that holds everything together, and that can even control your slides as well if you're doing presentations and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty.
I was going to say
if
if the Stream Deck didn't exist, Ecamm would have to invent it because it's really a critical part.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
For sure.
yeah. It's like a match made in heaven. That is, isn't it?
Definitely.
And we're obviously just a day away at the time of releasing from Ecamm 4 coming out. So what is the sort of feature that you're most looking forward to? I'm guessing we're all beta users, so we've all seen all these features. They're all public. Everyone knows about them already. But what's the sort of one thing that you're really most looking forward to out of the new features that are coming in? How about you, Keely?
That's really hard because, I am hardcore beta. I don't even remember what isn't in what isn't going to be in there.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's really hard to say.
I'll tell you some headline features.
Okay.
The headline features would be the ISO video. Then there's also the multi-streaming as well. That's another one that's come in. There's a couple of little small things that people may not have sort of realized or noticed, but one would be the chapter markers plugin for Stream Deck. So that was something that came in the beta. And then there is also now, just yesterday, they dropped another one, which is when you finish the recording and you can basically upload it directly to YouTube, or you can click the button to go and see the file. They've now added in open in Descript, so it can send it straight to Descript. That was a nice little thing that they just dropped in. Commenting on Amazon.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Not many platforms have commenting from Amazon. There's only Be Live, I think, is another one. But it is hard to keep track of what's not beta because there's been so many new features that have added in. But
considering four of us are actually 3 of us are from the United States. 1 of us is from Texas, so we say beta. So just in case we have to clear that one up with the foreign folks. But I think the multi streaming is is the game changer for them as a platform because it replaces the need to have a separate subscription. And so those of us on this broadcast that are stuck with a subscription to a multi-streaming service will eventually be able to move completely over to Ecamm and not have to worry about that one thing that'll be built into the software. That, just following any amount of customer comments on any of their social media pages, that was the thing that had been asked for so long. So the upside, and I don't think we can stress this enough. The upside about Ecamm is they've got good people working for them, and the gentlemen that own it, we refer to them as the twins, because they're twins. They know what they're doing, and they put their heart and soul into it. So I've always used the beta. And I've never had a problem with it. I mean, betas are notoriously, in other software products, betas are notoriously buggy. And, they write their code clean. And I don't think I've ever had a problem using the beta. So, it's all, well and good that, we're all using the beta and we're, on the bleeding edge. But the fact of the matter is it's a solid product. So there's really low risk in doing that.
Just a little couple of caveats, though, on that multi-streaming, just in case people aren't aware of the difference between using that and using something like Restream or one of those other multi-streaming services, is you are streaming with Ecamm directly from your computer to all of those individual platforms. So it's doing one encode, but then it is streaming those to all of the different platforms. So if you are streaming to X number of platforms, you require X times the bandwidth. So that is one potential reason why people may still want to keep those other multi-streaming services potentially if they don't have a good connection. But the other thing,
Alec, is that a Silicon thing too? Do you know?
The multi-streaming, I don't think is silicon, but the ISO video is silicon.
Okay.
And the multi-streaming is a regular and pro feature, whereas the ISO is only pro. But the multi-streaming is going to be available to both, like both plans as well. But it is only doing one encode, so it's encoding to send that stream to those multiple different platforms. But that means that you are basically getting the lowest common denominator of all of the resolutions. So my other podcast, I stream it to Amazon and also to LinkedIn, but then I want the recording of it as well. And the maximum you can stream to Amazon at is 720. So if I was to do that using Ecamm's multi-streaming, my resolution of my recording would also be 720. It'd be going to 720 to LinkedIn as well. So actually what I do with that is I still use Restream. I record and set the stream size on Ecamm to 4K. So I've got a 4K recording of it. But then it's using the virtual camera into Restream on the browser. And then I let Restream do the downsampling to 720. So that's another reason why people may still want their multi-streaming services outside of Ecamm if they want to have that higher resolution. I'm sure at some point they'll put a little toggle that we can have, multiple encodes going to the different resolutions for the different platforms, but at the moment it is still just one. So that's just something to be aware of with multi-streaming. But
aren't you sunshine?
How about you,
aren't
Keely,
you
then?
just sunshine?
No, but think about it, guys. The beauty of what we have, half of the new features came from the community. Well, most of the features came from the community. I'm sure that in its inception, the twins didn't, they had an idea of what they wanted to produce. And then as people, as customers started to play with it and use it and actually have businesses and do all the things and, have like media companies, they're asking for all of these different features. And they're able to turn around and give it to us. So just what you said there, Alec, it will be a matter of time before we're able to do exactly what you just talking about with the multi-streaming and all of that, because they listen to their customers and, and they deliver every single time. Man, the fact that we have the multi-streaming, come on. I mean, it's amazing. Right?
Right.
Is the resizable main window of Ecamm, is that a 4.0 feature or is that predate 4.0?
No, that's a new one. That's a new feature too.
That
where you
is
make the
for
window real
That's
big.
my
to preview.
favorite.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's my favorite because I stand way over there when I'm streaming and I need to be able to see it right here. So that made a huge difference for me when it came into the beta.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that too. But I was going to shout out Video ISO a little bit because I think we maybe as a solo streamer or a solo video producer, we don't think, oh, I really need this thing. But for those of us who teach, particularly, I found it's been very useful to have a recording of each camera I use and for the entire broadcast. So, for example, I could be on my broadcast and I might move to a scene. And for those of you listening on the podcast, I've just changed to a scene where I've got a video playing and I'm in the corner and my head is talking. But what if something kind of goes wrong about this, or it's not the right video or something like that? I still have myself speaking and I have the audio for that separated. And then this particular scene and the full broadcast that's going out, that's on a separate thing. So I can edit that out and not be too concerned about it. The other thing that I can do is I can lay over a layer and I can use a tool like Video Pencil, and I can go ahead and write on the screen and I can annotate things that are happening and draw attention and do all that sort of thing. This actual overlay is a separate camera recording. So if this looks too garbage and I don't want that in my actual recording that I'm publishing out, I can just, edit that part out and just put in my camera or just put in another layer. So having those tools and it just opens up the ability not to have to redo a whole bunch of my live presentation for a course that I'm going to repurpose. So video ISO has been subtly down low, one of the most important features for me that's come out in 4.0 for sure.
That's cool. One of the things we should say about that is because we discovered this ourselves last week.
Yeah.
But so the ISO video does record up to 2 of your cameras that you've got linked to Ecamm, but then also all of your guests that are coming in over on interview mode, but they are all capped at 720 because you can have up to 10 guests. That's another thing in Ecamm, I guess. In Ecamm 4 is if you're on Apple Silicon, you can go from 4 to 10 guests now. So you can imagine that if you're encoding 10 different video feeds from them, it's 10 times the processor required. So this is definitely a processor hog. So there is that limit of 720 on those guest feeds. With Ecamm dropping tomorrow, I think there's loads of great new features. The other one for me, I guess, would be the camera placeholder, the placeholder cameras. So that allows you to set up scenes and then assign different cameras to them later. That's great if you're actually creating scenes for other people to be able to for them to be able to just simply go through and assign those cameras sort of after the fact. But
Cool.
it's amazing how quickly it has all developed, and it's amazing how we've all been brought together by this amazing piece of software. And
Yes. And if you want to try Ecamm for yourself and you're not using it yet, click the link in the description or in the show notes, and that'll be my affiliate link. That would be awesome.
Rich won the lottery. Woohoo!
Yes, he did. Oh, and if you want to take a class, Alex got a great Ecamm masterclass, and I'll leave a link to that as well.
Bad.
And I have
It's not too
absolutely
bad.
nothing to sell you.
I have a link to Video Pencil. That's going to be in the description below too.
See, there you go.
We're full of affiliate links. We're the
And if
best.
And if you
We're-
wanna
yes, we
create
are
a
full
show,
of
I
it.
got one for you too.
Right. We are full of it, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do a Stream Deck link.
There you
All
go.
right, folks. I got to run.
All right.
Thanks for hopping onto our Creators Pod. If you enjoyed it, tell your friends. If you didn't like it, tell your friends. We'd love a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can check out our YouTube channel, Creators Pod. The Creators Pod is produced by C22 Media. Alec Johnson, Dina Taylor, Keely Dunn, Michelle Lawrence, Robb Vaules, and me, Rich Graham. Thanks. I'm still recording just in
goodness.
case you want to talk about him while he's gone.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That guy.
This
That guy.